If I were to list off some of the video game series out there with the darkest stories, I would probably default to games like Drakengard, Soma, or Little Nightmares. I sure as hell wouldn't think of something like Hyperdimension Neptunia. But what if I told you that this series absolutely can get dark when it wants to? Case in point, one word, conquest. The conquest route is very controversial amongst the Neptunia fandom, as many say it doesn't really gel with the more comedic and fanservice-y tone of the series prior to this. But to me, that's exactly why it works so well. It throws players off when they first come across it. Imagine getting so used to the wacky woohoo fun times from the first game and the rest of the second game, and then going back and getting hit with the craziest tonal shock. What do you mean the humanized versions of video game consoles may die? That can't be right. They're never supposed to die. The game wouldn't do that, right? You say as you laugh nervously, refusing to accept that these things could happen to your favorite characters. This route takes away your sense of comfort. There is no peace, no solace. Only you and the choices that made you take such a leap into this dark, dreary timeline. The Conquest route is a story of heartbreak, desperation, and tragedy. It asks, how much are you willing to sacrifice to save the world? Welcome back to the channel. I am Everheart. Here we love and appreciate all things storytelling. I can't promise I'll get everything right, but I can promise that I will give my best. Today, let's take a dive into this controversial ending and see Neptunia at its darkest. The route begins with the CPUs and friends mulling over ways to stop the deity of sin, R4. They're absolutely exhausted after dealing with the 4 felons who were only a fraction of R4's true power. If they had struggled with them this much, then how much greater would the deity of sin be? After everyone else draws a blank on a plan, Nepgear throws a shot in the dark and brings up a rumor she had heard from a man in last station about a cursed sword. No, not that cursed sword. This cursed sword is rumored to be able to kill the deity of sin. IF completely dismisses this plan as nothing but a simple rumor, but they press on regardless and prepare themselves to pursue this sword. This shows the first bit of desperation in this route. The girls have no other options at this point and are basically grasping at straws. They have no knowledge of the sword. Its origins remain a complete mystery. For all they know, this weapon could be controlled by some vengeful spirit or zapped the user's life force. But if there's even a 0.1% chance that this could work, by God, they were going to take it. They had to. The CPU subordinates all stay behind and gather data on the cursed sword, while the CPU and CPU candidates head out to ask around about the potential whereabouts of the blade. They search and search until they finally come across it deep within the depths of Land Castle. The sword at first seems to be nothing out of the ordinary, just a dark purple blade with an eerie glow, almost as if it's alive. But to the group, it seemed to be a waste of their time due to it being just a normal sword. Nepgear shames herself for wasting everyone's time. Suddenly, Histoire contacts Nepgear and tells her to bring the sword back to the Basilicom, having found the key to putting the deity down once and for all. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife. All the CPU subordinates have these concerned looks on their faces. Chica reveals that the blade that they found could actually defeat the deity of sin. You'd think this would be a happy moment, a triumphant one, putting a permanent end to the unspeakable horror that threatens the world, you know? That's what you think. But then, Histoire lists the conditions needed in order to ready the sword for combat. The room goes quiet, and the following statement drives a stake into the hearts of everyone there.
The sword must slay one of CPU lineage. For each kill, it will grow in power.
Kill CPUs. To power the sword, to save game industry, 7 CPUs must die by the hand of the one willing to make the toughest, most bloodiest decision of their life. And as expected, the girls are having none of that. The mere idea of having to kill the friends that are so near and dear to them is utterly absurd. Nepgear and Uni speak, their voices full of rage at Kay for even thinking that they could stoop so low. They could never. But for 1 second, Nepgear mulls it over. She actually considers it.
The life of someone of CPU lineage. Uni, Ram, Neptune, Noir, Vert, Blonde. No! I could never, ever use it! But if we do, we can beat the deity of sin. We could save game industry.
The question lingers in her mind. What if? What if this is the only way? Of course, this is not a decision that one could make so lightly, so Histoire gives Nepgear the rest of the night to think it over. This is an extremely difficult choice to make. Imagine being told that in order to save the Earth, you have to kill your entire family. The average person would probably say, absolutely not. The option weighing on you as you sleep. It's like an anvil pressed against your chest. Nightmares filled with the cries of your loved ones ringing throughout in your head. The screams as they die one by your hand. And then you wake up. I imagine Nepgear might have very well experienced something like that when she woke up the day that she had to make her decision. And so that decision comes.
You come to a decision? I have. And what is it? I can't take anybody's life. And even if I offered my own life, I believe that nobody else here would be willing to take it either.
She refuses. The whole group refuses. They will not, under any circumstances, sacrifice each other's lives. They have too much to live for. They can't. They shall not give into the temptation of murder. But then, that begs the question. Now what do they do about the deity of sin? Kay ensures them that without the sword, they're currently left with no options, and that time is running out. And then Nepgear, hopeful as ever, says she has an idea. A plan that could save everyone. But that plan requires the CPUs to do the one thing that goes against their very existence.
What if we gather all the shares throughout game industry and focus them in one nation? All of the world's shares? Do you know what you're saying? If we moved everyone's shares to Planetoon, then my sister and I could fight the deity of sin alone.
Taking all of the world's shares and focusing them into one nation. Obviously, the others are not willing to go through with this plan. And why would they? Who would be so willing to give up the nation they worked so hard to build? The people that they sort of protect and lead. It's absurd. So they leave Nepgear and Neptune all alone by themselves. Nepgear is struck by despair and hopelessness. It seems like the only options are ones that will cause harm to someone no matter what happens. And that's exactly what I love about this route. There is no saving everyone. No matter what, someone has to lose, even if it means their lives go along with it. Someone has to die. And so the fight for shares begins. Nepgear and her crew launch a full-on assault on the other nations, running roughshod throughout the city streets in order to take all shares. Shares are the faith of a CPU's people made manifest into a power source.
The more shares a CPU has, the stronger they will become. The belief of their people is what makes them a goddess. You take those away and the CPU has nothing. They're just a regular powerless human, and without the CPU to guide them, the people are inevitably doomed to fall into chaos. Nepgear's plan makes sense when you think about it, as no one would have to die. But the CPUs cannot do it. They cannot throw away the one thing that drives their very being. They must fight against this idea. Noir and Uni watch from the safety of their basilicom while the Nep sisters continue to take and take and take from Last Station. Noir cannot simply sit back and watch this go on. She has to ensure that Uni can muster the courage needed to fight her very best friend. And so they prepare for war. The stage is set. Noir and Uni arrive on the scene, ready to fight. Reluctant to do this, the Nep girls still have to keep on going, but so do the Last Station girls. The battle begins. Friends are fated to oppose one another, all in the hopes of protecting their nations and the world itself. Blades clashing, bullets flying, and then silence. And as the final blow is struck, the Nep sisters emerge victorious. But still, Noir and Uni refuse to let it go. It becomes very clear what Noir had in mind through the subtext in the conversation she had with Uni in the basilicom before the fight. And she says it.
You're still holding onto that sword, so use it! Take our lives! Use it to stop the deity of sin! Noir! What are you saying? I couldn't possibly... Oh, so you were carrying it around just to strap some extra dead weight to your belt. Is that it? But I... Admit it. You've kept it with you because deep inside your heart, you know it's still a viable option. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's actually the only option I could come up with too. But wait, you've got it all wrong. I was just making sure that nobody else would be able to use it. Are you still making excuses? If you don't have the guts, then I'll do it myself. Give me the sword, now! No! Stop! Stay back! That's it right there, isn't it? Hand it over! Stop it, Noir. If we kill each other, then we've already lost. Don't you see that? But if we don't, the game industry... Everyone in the world will die! Enough talking! Give it to me! No, you mustn't! This sword is... Don't you dare let it go! Huh?
In the end, Noir sacrifices herself by committing suicide. She willingly takes the fall, and with this action begins the slow descent into death and darkness for the Nep sisters. And Uni, devastated but strong despite it all, follows her sister into the dark.
You'll save game industry, right? Or are you going to waste my big sister's life? I don't like asking you to do it, but you're the only one I trust. Please, Nepgear. Please! Ah!
Both Noir and Uni are now dead. Last Station no longer has their CPUs, and the point of no return has truly begun. There is no turning back from this. The pain and despair of having killed her friends weighs heavily on Nepgear, and now she has no choice but to move forward with hands that run red with blood. The Wii is next on the chopping block. 3 CPUs to be thrown to the slaughter. And this right here very well may be the most heartbreaking fight of all. Blonde, Rom, and Ram meet the Nep sisters for a fight to the death. And so they fight.
Don't judge me by my looks. down. Thought I'd see the day when I'd leave the world in your hands. I'm counting on you. I won't let you down. That didn't hurt too bad. See, it's okay. There's CPUs too. We want to save game industry. I see. All right. I'm so sorry, you two. Ah! Oh! We're together, so it's all gonna be okay, right? Yeah. Ram, please hold my hand. Okay. I won't let go. Thanks, sis.
I won't lie when I say that this had me in tears the first time I played it. They're kids, and you had to kill them. Blonde was prepared to die from the very beginning, but Ram and Ram were kids. Even though they were destined to never age past their current states, they still had lives to live. Sweets they wanted to try, places they wanted to see. But now, in order to save game industry, those dreams had to be crushed, and Louis falls silent. This is the last stop on this trip of bloodshed. Leanbox. Vert is the only CPU remaining. She's all alone in the fight, as she would not dare to ask Chica to fight with her to protect the nation. And yet, she seems to have the most resolve of all the CPUs that have opposed the Nip Girls up to this point. She's very persistent in taking the burden away from Nepgear and shouldering it on herself. It's a very interesting contrast with the fact that despite her being the youngest CPU in canon, she is far and away the most mature of them all. When she sees that asking for the sword will not work, she still wants to take on the burden of killing the Nep sisters to share in some of the unholy bloodshed that has already taken place. I really enjoy Vert's character in this moment. She's always been a character who seems to be overlooked both in-game and within the fandom, so seeing her shine so bright in the game's darkest path is equally enjoyable and devastating knowing what comes next. She fights on, more persistent than ever, an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. She gives Neptune and Neptune a harder fight than any of the CPUs prior to this. No matter what, she just refuses to die. Her will is so strong that she causes Nepgear and her crew to fall back in retreat. And just when it seems like Vert receives a moment to regather herself, a rat comes out from the woodworks for easy pickings.
Pretty sick show watching you CPUs beat the crap out of each other. Who's there?
A scream is heard in the distance. Vert is at her weakest, one foot already in the grave, and underling swoops in to take advantage. A reoccurring thorn in the party's side throughout the game, the low-ranking peon, as Nepgear called her, hopes to gain revenge for all she's had to deal with at the hands of the group. Surely this will be one of the toughest fights.
Jack, not yet. I can't lose. Damn, I gotta get out of... Yeah! Oh, what? Hey, what the hell is this? Why are you stabbing me? A joke? A dream? I can't die
like this. I should have done that ages ago.
That line right there interests me a lot because it shows the inner workings of Nepgear's mind. The fact that she says this shows she had already had murder on her mind way before this point. She was probably cracking from stress a long time ago, and that little set dressing just adds so much to the story, so it's very much appreciated. Neptune looks after Vert while she's exhausted. Nep insists that she needs immediate medical attention, but Vert insists against it. Here and now, she wants her life to go to the cause. Vert asks as a last request that they provide aid for Chica in her absence. Neptune takes the sword and plunges it into Vert's heart, and Leanbox falls silent.
Yeah, we promise. Rest in peace, Vert.
And that's it. All the other CPUs are gone. Their lives sacrificed for the cause. There's nothing stopping Nepgear from pursuing the deity of sin to stop it once and for all. Wait.
So, there's just one more thing to do now, huh? What? Did we forget something? Yeah, I guess it's about that time.
Oh no. We cut to Neptune offering Nepgear to take a stroll with her through the park. Neptune tries her best to cheer Nepgear up, as it's very obvious her smile is just not real. It's taking everything within her just to hold it together. So she tries to leave, but Neptune stops her, insisting that there's something important she needs to say. So she says it.
Cool. Alright, so how's about you give your old sister the stabby stab with the sword? What? Oh, you really weren't that shocked. That's good. So let's get on with the stabbing, okay?
The Nep sisters are the only ones left, and Neptune decides she too will sacrifice herself to the sword. Nepgear is shocked, and she can't breathe. Neptune's afraid of the sword being just not powerful enough to handle the deity of sin. Nepgear obviously can't do it. She can't force herself to do the one thing she was trying to avoid this entire time. She probably thought about it off screen, but never even considered it would come to this. She begs and pleads with her older sister to not do this. She even offers up her own life by letting Neptune take the sword to kill her instead. Which we know that she just would not do. She couldn't put herself through that. Nepgear is in tears. And in that instant, we get one of the rare moments where Neptune is full on serious about something. No jokes, no memes, just the cold, hard truth.
Time to grow up, Nepgear.
She wipes her tears. She steadies herself to make the toughest decision of her life.
Whoa, yeah, way worse than a wasp sting. Neptune! Okay, time for me to hit the old dusty trail, Nep Jr. Let's win together.
Fuck. Histoire arrives shortly after, informing Nepgear what the player had probably seen coming if they had been paying attention to Neptune's dialogue early on. She had planned to sacrifice herself from the very beginning. And we get the notification that Neptune has left. This is the most heartbreaking thing in the entire route. She's gone. Nepgear is all alone now. And now there's nothing in her way to stop her from taking on the deity of sin. With tears wiped clean, yet hands still stained, the fallen angel descends into hell to take on the devil. Nepgear and her crew stand face to face with the deity of sin. It all comes down to this. Everything we've done, everything we've sacrificed so far comes down to this one moment. This is the most important part of the entire story. There's nothing left to say, so the fight begins. It's grueling and intense, but the team's strikes at first do nothing. They try their hardest, but they can't make a dent. They are faced with insurmountable odds, until IF tells Nepgear to finally use the sword.
Nepgear, use the sword!
All right.
That sword.
This blade will put an end to your wicked scheme!
I see. So you have forged that blade using the blood of the other CPUs.
As if that matters to you!
You killed them all. Your friends, your family. You are all alone in the world.
Yes, that's right. Everyone is gone except for me. That's precisely why I can't lose!
Fascinating. Such an amusing world. Come, show me how strong a sword bathed in a CPU's blood is.
And the deity of sin can do nothing but laugh in her face about everything she had to do to get to this point. You expect a long and drawn out second phase of a battle, as most final bosses tend to do in these types of games, but you just don't get that. Nepgear moves in to strike the deity of sin, and the single strike lands, without effort, because the deity refused to dodge. She just lets it happen.
You didn't even try to dodge!
Wonderful. The power you have put into the sword is enough to end even my life. Victory is yours, CPU.
Huh? But why? Why didn't you resist me?
There is no longer a need for me to remain here and destroy this world. For you see, the world is already spiraling toward oblivion.
If Sin refuses to let Nepgear even feel remotely good about her victory, it takes an already empty road stained with the blood of her friends and family and places a monument with no marking at the end of it. No payoff, it just stops. Stagnation. Exactly like what the deity of sin said to Nepgear. And now it's over. Game industry is saved, but look at what you had to sacrifice in order to do it. At this point, you have to ask yourself, was it even worth it? If the world forces you to do something like this to keep it running, was it even worth saving in the first place? A question that not only Nepgear will be asking herself for years to come, but a question that the player will also be asking themselves long after they put the controller down and they take a moment to think about the actions they took in this game, in this route, years from now.
Game industry, a land once divided into 4 nations, is now united as one under Planetoon's flag. Now I must be the one to lead the world as its sole CPU, and travel to the lost nations and restore order. I need to bring peace to the people of this world, and I need to do it alone. That's the path I've chosen to walk. But even now, the deity of sin's parting words linger in the back of my mind.
Without strife, without conflict, without competition, nothing will advance. Nothing will evolve. The people will become complacent and live their lives in peace, the world will stagnate and rot.
I absolutely will not let that happen. I swear on my life. Still, what if she was speaking the truth? What if the path I've chosen isn't the correct one? More and more, these doubts consume my every waking thought, dictate my every action.
And that's it. That is the conquest ending in full. A road stained with blood was the only road ahead for you. And I freaking love it. As someone whose favorite series is the Draconeer series, I absolutely live for this kind of dark storytelling. I remember the first time I sat down and played through it over a decade ago. It was really shocking. I had never expected the series to go this far, and it was a beautifully tragic story. It's filled with drama and tons of emotion. The voice acting really helps sell the horror of it all too. Imagine this cute moe game you picked up on a whim being all sweet and cutesy for 90% of the game, just for one ending to stab you in the chest with a full-on Shakespearean level tragedy. I would like to offer a few thoughts to go against the common criticisms that the conquest ending receives. First, let's tackle the cursed sword coming out of nowhere. In response, I say to that there are plenty of solutions to problems in our lives that come out of nowhere. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes you get lucky. And most JRPGs always have shortcuts to power, whether they be strictly in-game or in lore. And with Neptunia being a parody series, having something like this makes perfect sense, I think. People have criticized the route and said that it's too try-hard or edgy, or that it reads like a bad fanfiction, but I disagree. Neptunia in itself is a parody. It's moe, meta, self-aware, and built on comedy. The CPUs rarely face permanent consequences. Defeat is temporary. The player always expects everything to work out, but here it just doesn't. Friendships break, belief becomes pressure, unity becomes domination. It's a designed betrayal of the player's expectations, and it's beautiful. There was a similarly dark ending that evoked similar, though not on the same level, feelings in Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, with the CPUs falling under Kurome and Kokobushi's control and bringing the hyperdimension to absolute ruin. So Idea Factory and Compile Heart weren't afraid to do this again. Someone on those teams really likes their dark endings and isn't afraid to experiment. With this ending, they were able to acknowledge darkness, explore consequences, and then return to the lighthearted comedic tone without guilt. I mean, after all, it's not canon. And yet, this ending is the one I always think about. Because let's face it, most of the endings in the Neptunia games, except for the Holy Sword ending, are not really that memorable. You play these games not for the gameplay or the destination, but the comedy, the character moments, and the journey you take to get to the end. But whether you love it or hate it, you'll never forget it. It'll always stick in your brain forever. The Conquest route wasn't afraid to treat power as a serious topic. It wasn't afraid to allow failure. It wasn't afraid to be honest. And in a series like Neptunia, where the parody and comedy is what makes the series what it is, I'll never forget the time that it wasn't afraid to be real. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching all the way through. This was absolutely a passion project for me above all else, and I wanted to give back to the company that gave me one of my favorite series by writing this love letter dedicated to the time they ripped my heart out. I also want to thank everyone for the overwhelming support I received on the last video, as well as the amount of subs I've gained. Like, holy shit, I never expected that video to reach 10K, and I never expected to make almost 100 subscribers off of it. For a small channel like mine, that's a big deal. It's things like this that keep me motivated to continue on this content journey, no matter how hard it gets. And with that said, I've said all I needed to in this video, and I shall now take my leave. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.